Folks, welcome into Degenerate Danger Zone. It is Saturday, April 17th, and it's time to get that money. I'm your host, Ty B, joined here by Degenerate Al. We got Slick Al and the sweet science professor, Jordan Rosens, making his debut as we got a huge boxing matchup tonight between Jake Paul and Ben Funky Askren to break down. But Degenerate Al, let's get it started here. We got a ton of action across the board. You got soccer, you got baseball, you got hockey, you got basketball. Give me your first sports pick of the day.
So today, happy Saturday, folks. Good to be back. I know Slick L and I, we need a big day from Colin Morikawa, first off. If Stuart Sink keeps pulling this bullshit, shooting 63s, I'm going to be very pissed off. But yeah, like you said, a lot of action today. I need to bounce back. I once again said the Islanders were going to win last night. They both nights turn into L's. Completely disasters against the Boston Bruins. They get shut out 3-0. Taylor Hall now with goals in back-to-back games. So really not what you want to see at all. My first play of the day, I'm going to go to the English Premier League, and I'm looking at the Wolves. -125 at home to the worst team in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. Sheffield in their past 4 games, I don't think they've scored. I know the Wolves aren't in the best form either, but I really do like the Wolves at that price, at that value, I believe right there. Wolves -125 on the money line.
I love that. But let's get in here to the fights. We have UFC and we have the boxing matchup tonight to get into. Well, we got to talk about it. It's the headliner, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. And you're looking at the betting lines. It's pretty even. We're seeing like a -150 or so for Jake Paul. Most places, unfortunately, the Creek doesn't have it, which is not good for us. But
not surprising either.
Exactly, not surprising at all. Jordan, when you're looking at this fight here, what are the first things that stick out to you? Because we're talking about this little pre-show, and it's an interesting one where you have Jake, who hasn't had as much ring experience, and then Ben's ring experience. Although he's done MMA, he is literally primarily a wrestler.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things, you mentioned ring experience, but we also got to touch on ring rust. So Askren hasn't fought in about like 18 months. And some fighters can handle layoffs better than others. COVID's really been an eye-opener. Some fighters who's come in haven't missed a beat. Other fighters who come in and you can really tell they've been out of the ring for a while. But Askren, like you said, he's an MMA guy. So he hasn't fought in 18 months, but also his last action was in a cage, not a ring. Where Jake fought end of last year, which is I think it's about 6 months for him. So that's, it's a decent sized layoff. Normally, if you're a up and coming fighter with, 2 fights under your belt, you're going to be fighting much more frequently just because the fights tend to be a lot shorter. You're not fighting 12 rounds. This one's an 8-rounder though. And with a 6-month layoff, that's about standard for a lot of boxers. But again, you got Ben Askren, and I think that he's got much more combat experience. Before he was in MMA, very accomplished wrestler. Went to the NCAA finals all 4 years, won it his junior and senior year. I think he was even undefeated his last 2 years in college, went to the Olympics, then got into MMA. But again, he's retired now, got his own podcast. He's a wrestling coach coming back in for a payday.
Yeah, I'll never listen to his advice after he went on the Jim Rome show and was hyping up Macy Barber as like a -10,000 favorite, and she goes out and gets her ass kicked by Roxanne McDafferty. Yeah, get the hell out of here, Ben Askren. I don't believe your knowledge. It's not there with knowing the hands what's going to happen. You got a lot, a lot about wrestling. But Slick, you brought up a great point pre-show about Ben here at the weigh-in.
Yeah, Jordan was just touching on this guy has the combat experience. Like on the paper, he should be able to give Jake Paul some problems with his hands, even though he's not known for these hands. But then he comes into the weigh-ins looking like a dad at the beach. I mean, look at that beer gut, guys. Come on. He's not even like he's putting the arms up. Do you see any bicep there either? I don't know what the hell this is. Honestly, like we said, it's a catch weight 190. I think he came in at 191, which isn't surprising if you look at that figure. But I mean, like, he's got the experience. He sure as hell doesn't look like it, Ty.
No, not at all. And that's why, I've kind of been saying this all week. I think I'm on the Jake Paul train. I just don't believe in Ben Askren at all. He has pillows for hands and a pillow for gut right now. I don't think he's gonna, people are talking about, can Jake Paul withstand, some real hits, and can he take these knocks? I don't think he's going to even be taking anything he's worried about. It's basically like taking, some sparring, getting hit by some pads at the gym. Like I really don't believe in Ben Askren at all. I don't see it.
No, especially after that weigh-in. I think he's underestimating Jake a great deal.
I think they all are, because you look at this too, is these are millionaires going into training. Like, you're paying for the best nutritionists, the best trainers, the best sparring partners, like anything you need. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge factor in this one, Jordan.
Yeah. You talked about the training and whatnot. Jake actually has pretty decent hands. Like, as far as young fighters go, he moves really well. The fundamentals are there. Obviously, a lot of fine tuning. The hand speed could improve. Could become a bit more efficient. I'm sure he could generate a bit more power in his punches than what we're currently seeing. But for somebody who's only had one amateur fight and 2 pro fights, he looks a lot better than most 2-0 fighters that you see buried on the undercard of some mediocre fight. A lot of people remember his knockout over Nate Robinson, and a lot of people are like, whoa, what a crazy knockout. But it's not like he came forward and was swinging wildly. He caught Nate with a really nice, clean counterpunch. And those clean counterpunches happen when you're not moving your head, you're dropping your hands, you're leading with the chin. And when I look at Askren, who's a wrestler, naturally is going to go for the takedown. That chin gets open. Yep. It gets exposed.
It leaves the chin open, yeah.
And that's exactly why Jorge Masvidal did what he did and knocked him out as early as he did. He knew he was going to come forward and drop the head, and boom, good night.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to give Askren some credit for being a pro fighter. And obviously, you're not going to, even if Jake Paul wanted to, I don't think he's even capable of landing that kind of flying knee. I mean, Jorge Masvidal, that is a bad man.
Yeah,
I mean, UFC in the street, in a bar room, I want no piece of that smoke. I mean, he's one of those guys that he's going to be walking around at 80 and somebody's going to say the wrong thing and he's going to knock out some 20-year-old punk. You know what I mean? It's going
to be hilarious.
Yeah.
I can't wait for those videos.
They call him game bred, and it's just violence is in that man's blood. You know what I mean? He is just born to be a fighter. And I don't see that from, no offense to Calabasas, California, but the home of the Kardashians isn't exactly, breeding grounds for fighters.
Absolutely. But, Degenerate Al unfortunately won't be able to put in any futures with that boxing match. So we got to talk about the UFC so he can get some abs parlay futures in. Slick, we got Whitaker Gastelum heading this fight night off. This should be a very, very interesting fight. The former UFC middleweight champion, since losing to Izzy, has been on a nice streak here and pieced, together a nice 2-fight winning streak, and done so in a very impressive fashion.
Yeah, very impressive, Ty. I've been campaigning since Whitaker came back to the UFC that we need an Adesanya Whitaker rematch. Mm-hmm. So I really expect him to win this fight, and that's no discredit to Gastelum. Gastelum is a warrior. We saw him go 5 rounds with Adesanya, where I'm pretty sure some of the judges gave him a round or 2 on the scorecard. He's a great fighter. He has a hard punch. Whitaker has just come back with an assassin mentality. You look at the Darren Till fight, that was also 5 rounds. So technical on the feet, very strategic. Waited for Darren Till to come in before he really opened up and started striking. And then the Jared Cannonier fight, I mean, that was a walkover. Made Jared Cannonier look like
shit out of him.
He made Cannonier look like he didn't belong in the top 5, which I was expecting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this should be a good fight. I expect it to go 5 rounds, and I think Whitaker will get a unanimous decision here, and hopefully he preaches for that Adesanya rematch, because I think that's what the people need.
No, absolutely. Whitaker talked about sort of being burnt out there when he was having his title run, and having that time off after relinquishing the belt there to Izzy after the loss. He was able to sort of reset his mind, and you saw that sort of a vintage approach from himself, where we're seeing himself building up towards to getting the title. We're seeing that Whitaker yet again, that type of guy who's absolutely just clinically an assassin. Like, he's just going to pick you apart, and if you leave any openings, he's going to find it. Al, you getting anything from this fight for a future, or are you looking elsewhere?
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw this, like, Al, but Whitaker now at the Creek is minus 305.
So,
oh, really? Yeah. I
that's-
looked and it was minus 300, so it's definitely shifting.
Yeah, that line's on the
opened
move.
like 270, 280.
Yep. Yeah. So I noticed the Penguins were minus 305 as well today against the Sabres. Sabres, you want to burn me 2 straight games? Go ahead. I'll gladly eat it. Penguins minus 305, Whitaker minus 305. That, I think that parlay is minus 130.
Okay.
So put a nice unit on that. And I also did tell you Slick Allen did Whitaker by decision as well. Because I was looking at the odds. It seems like if Whitaker doesn't go by decision, it leans knockout, correct? He's not a submission type guy.
Yeah. I think by knockout is plus 225. I hedged a little on the knockout, but I really went big on the decision. And then I think the submission's at like plus 1,600 or something. Like, it's way bigger than the knockout, and then the decision's even money, like I said. So, and then
I think the decision's got to be the play if you're betting Whitaker in the fight.
It has to be. You know, Kevin Gastelum's never been put out as far as I'm aware. So, and Whitaker's gone to decision in the past 2 fights. Sure, the Jared Cannonier fight was a 3-round fight, but Darren Till is easily the harder opponent, and he went 5 full rounds with him and had no problem doing so.
Yeah. So, Jordan, we got some other interesting fights on here. You got Drakkar Klose fighting, Andrei Arlovsky, Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena. Anything, that's sticking out to you?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Creek odds here. And, I see Demetrius Andrade is only minus 335, which, okay, you're not going to make a ton off of this pick, but I feel pretty confident in that he's going to win this one. And that's, it's not much, but to me, that's free money. I'm all about value picks, and minus 335. Again, you're not going to get much, but, people bet in the stocks all the time. And I think that's a set it and forget it type of fight. Actually, what is it? 2 weeks from now, I think, or next week, we got Dimitri Bivol, and he's another really solid fighter, and he's minus 2,500. That's what a lot of these heavy favorites go for. Where it's like, okay, you're gonna bet the farm to get a chicken. And so when you can get a favorite for minus 335, I say take it. And actually, speaking of that, down the road, if you go to the Creek, if you're stopping by the Creek, they actually have Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo's a favorite; he's going to be the favorite, but he's at minus 670 right now. Which, again, you're not going to make a ton off of that, but I'm expecting that line to shift a ton in Canelo's favor. He is absolutely the best fighter on the planet right now. Went up to light heavyweight, won a title. He rules the middleweights, super middleweights. He's on a tear right now. Most fighters are being very cautious coming out of COVID. Not Canelo. He fought his mandatory Navni Yildirim. He fought one of the other belt holders, Caleb Smith, dominated him. He's got Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated fellow champion. Again, Canelo's minus 670, even though they're both even though Canelo has 1 loss to Floyd Mayweather. Everybody loses to Floyd. I don't blame him for that. He was also 22 at the time. He's been on a tear since then. I think he beats Billy Joe Saunders. I think it goes the distance, but if I can get Canelo at 670 right now, I'll take it, because that's probably going to jump up to, I would say, even over between minus 1,000, minus 1,500 by the time fight night rolls around.
Absolutely. So get on that now. And a value play I'm looking at here in the UFC, looking at some plus odds. I think Chase Sherman against Andrei Arlovsky is a good bet. The guy has great knockout power, and you're looking at Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky taking this fight on short notice, and he's been fighting a fair amount for the age that he's at right now. I think coming into this one, he's going to be pushing himself a little bit too much. I think Chase Sherman's a great play here. Tons of knockouts under his belt. I think he gets a big one here tonight, Slick.
Yeah, Arlovsky, it's funny you mentioned that, because Arlovsky has been having a lot of these fights lately, right, where he goes against young, exciting heavyweight prospects that we think should steamroll a veteran in Andrei Arlovsky, and he's a pit bull. He's schooling him. Like Tanner Bozier schooled him. And then I think last fight he submitted to Tom Aspinall, I believe. But that's expected. I mean, Aspinall's freaking beast. But yeah, the odds are close on that. I definitely like Sherman at the plus 105. I took Arlovsky in a parlay with another heavyweight prospect in Alexander Romanov, 13-0. This guy is a different kind of beast.
Yep.
His submission game is crazy. It shouldn't be that good for a heavyweight. And you look at the size of this guy, he moves like so swiftly on his feet. I think Al, his last fight was your birthday, and he choked a guy out just literally putting his forearm on his neck.
Yep.
Like, no one does that. It's not that easy. He didn't have a hook in or anything, just forearm on the neck, submission right away. I like Romanov to beat Juan Espino. And Arlovsky, Sherman. I parlayed Arlovsky, but definitely some value in Sherman there.
Al, what else are you looking at today? We got a ton of action across the board.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the RBC Heritage, some golf here, some third-round matchups. A lot of value here. I like Daniel Berger minus 110 over Russell Henley. I like Abraham Answer minus 106 against Shane Lowry. I think going to have a big day from Answer. And then I hate doing this, but I'm going with my guy Morikawa. He's paired up today with Sunjay M. Sunjay had a huge second round yesterday. But Morikawa's putting, he missed so many short opportunities yesterday. I don't see it happening today in round 3. It's moving day. Morikawa is going to be moving up those boards. I'm thinking at least minus 13, minus 14 heading into Sunday to make it interesting with Stewie Sink.
Yeah, I love it, Al. I mean, isn't it one of the best things? You got your guys who are right there, and they have a chance even on moving day. They can get there into the money, get you some real nice winnings on those futures.
Yep.
So that's why you got to make sure you're paying attention to Degenerate Danger Zone all the time, because Al's giving those out early in the week to make sure you're set up for the weekend. But I'm looking here at the NHL slate. I think the Capitals are going to have a bounce back game after losing to the Sabres. They're minus 148. If you don't like that juice, parlay it with something like I like the Stars money line against Columbus. I think Columbus is taking a big step back. They traded away their captain, Nick Foligno, and things haven't been going great with Tortorella there. It looks like Laine already wants his way out of there. So I think that's a good play, plus 157 to parlay those. Slick, you got anything else out there?
I'm looking at the co-main event in UFC. I haven't looked at the slate with the other sports across the board today, but if you look at the co-main, Jakar Close and Jeremy Stevens, he's moving up a weight class. He's on a 4-fight loss streak. This fight's at even money, and frankly, you could take either, honestly. Jeremy Stevens, he's got to bounce back at some point. Right now, he's known best for being the who the fuck is this guy from Conor McGregor. And Jakar Close, I mean, you look at that fight with Beneil Dariush. He had Dariush on the ropes. Yeah. And I mean on the ropes. And now Dariush is doing big things, going on to fight Tony Ferguson. So if I had to pick, I got Jakar Close. They're minus 112 each. And if you saw that ceremonial stare down yesterday, Jeremy Stevens pushing Jakar Close across the stage. He looks hot in the head. I don't know what's going on there. I didn't hear any trash talk. I just saw a big shove. So I got Jakar Close in that matchup.
Yeah, and speaking about Close, let's talk about Close shaves here, guys. Flowers are blooming. The grass is growing. It's time to chop the weeds. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped. They provide the best in men's grooming. I'm talking about their ball trimmers. The Lawnmower 3.0 is the best technology out there from the anti-nick technology, fully waterproof, so you can use it in the shower or whatever you need. Absolutely phenomenal. And you can use promo code Trainwreck to get yourself 20% off plus free shipping over at manscaped.com. Again, that's promo code Trainwreck. Get yourself 20% off plus free shipping. Al, I mean, we got so many baseball games too because of the rainouts yesterday. You're looking at double headers all over the place, and I think there's some good value out there if you target some of these double headers right.
I was looking at that, a ton of double headers today, and fade the Yankees again. Glass now on the bump, minus 106, pretty much a pick 'em. Yankees are minus 110. Definitely lean the Rays in that one. And yeah, looking at the rest of the board, Mets, Rockies, that's a doubleheader as well. And the Padres with a heartbreaking loss last night to some guy named Steve's Dodgers in extra innings. Lean the Padres as well, plus money, plus 105 at home tonight.
Absolutely love it. And I'm looking at this Blue Jays and Royals doubleheader here. You got Steven Matz going in the first game. He's been absolutely lights out for Toronto thus far. He looks like he might have found his form. When you look at a move that the Jays make like this, where they gave up a little bit more than you kind of thought for a veteran who seemed to be really losing all his stuff, but I think they figured out how to get it back. His spin rate's up. He's dropping in those curveballs. And I think you're getting a ton of value on the Jays there at just minus 115 against the Royals offense that doesn't put up a lot of numbers. I think Bo and Vladdy are going to be ready to go after an off day yesterday. Give me the Blue Jays all day long, twice on Sunday.
And
anything
twice on
else?
Saturday.
Yeah, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. What else you guys got? Anything?
Slate as well. The battle of the Sox. The White Sox versus the Red Sox. Red Sox have been hot lately. I don't have much other reason than that. Minus 115. It's good value. I'd take that bet.
And I got to say one thing, too, about you guys have been noticing I've been doing these more first goal scorers in soccer. Did you know if no one scores in the final 0-0, those aren't even pushes, they're losses?
Jeez, no, I didn't.
I thought at the Creek,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought at the Creek I'd get my money back. I did a first goal score today in Bundesliga, Augsburg versus Arminia Bielefeld or something. No goals. No goals. So all tickets get shred because no one scored the first goal. It's classic Saturday tradition at Studio D, shredding tickets before noon. Nothing better.
Shout out to all the paper shredding companies out there. If you guys are looking for some ad reads, Degenerate Al is your guy. Perfect brand activation right there. Just shredding tickets up all day long. But when he's not shredding tickets, he's cashing them, and that's what we hope you're all doing. So again, thank you for tuning us here on Degenerate Danger Zone. Make sure you follow us over on Twitter at Degenerate Zone. Follow, like, subscribe, retweet, do whatever you got to do. Help spread the word, and we're going to continue to bring you guys more free money. And get over to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. You're going to thank us. Your balls will thank you as well for making that decision. Again, use promo code TRAINWRECK for that. Shout out to Degenerate Al, Slick Al, and Jordan, the sweet science professor, for joining us. Go out there, hammer the book, hammer the creek, do whatever you got to do. Go get that free money. Good night now.